Hello, fourth graders. Ms. Burris here. I will read through this news report for your science lesson, and it is also related to our writing lesson on being able to write a news report. The title of this news report is Lead Poisoning Present in Dead Hammond Swans. This was published in Northwest Indiana Times on December 14, 2018. This is the caption for this photo. 3 dead swans are seen in November near George Lake in Hammond. Birdwatcher John Medeka said he knows of 18 mute swans that have died since October 11th. 6 of them had elevated levels of lead in their kidneys, he said. And then here's another photo with a caption. Swans look for a place to land on George Lake in Hammond. Several swans have been found dead around the lake. Hammond. More than a dozen mute swans have been found dead around George Lake since October, including 6 with elevated lead levels, a local birdwatcher said. John Medeka of Hammond said he's been watching migrating birds on the lake for 40 years and has never seen the number of dead birds he's now seeing. It's just awful, he said. It's just plain awful. Medeka said he was approached in early October by a man on the bicycle path near the lake who asked if he had seen the dead swans. The next day, Medeka made his first grim discovery when he found a mute swan carcass. He has now documented 18 mute swans, he said. He reached out to Humane Indiana Wildlife, which delivered some of the carcasses, or bodies of the swans, Medeka collected to the Indiana Department of Natural Resources lab at Purdue University in West Lafayette. On Thursday, Medeka received an email saying DNR had discovered elevated lead levels in the kidneys of 6 birds, some to toxic levels. That means poisonous. Tests for avian influenza, botulism, and other toxins were negative, the email said. Medeka provided copies of his emails, but DNR did not immediately respond to the messages seeking confirmation. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency said Indiana will be taking the lead in investigating dead swans in the area and has not requested EPA's help. Lead is toxic to humans at any level, EPA says. Children younger than 7 are particularly vulnerable because lead exposure can cause irreversible learning disabilities. EPA began excavating lead-contaminated soil from residents' yards in the area last spring. Federated Metals operated on George Lake's northeast shore from 1937 to 1983 as a smelting, refinery, recovery, and recycling facility for lead, copper, and zinc. The site was subject to a $3.35 million Federal Resource Conservation and Recovery Act from 2001 to 2006 that involved demolition of an on-site baghouse and consolidation of debris, hazardous waste, and slag dredged from George Lake into a near-shore landfill capped with vegetation. So this company was basically charged to clean up the contamination or pollution that their factory caused. EPA and the Indiana Department of Environmental Management also recently cited Whiting Metals, which currently operates at the site for exceeding lead emissions limits. Medeka said he's not sure if source of the lead could be from air or water, but he suspected the toxic heavy metal is lurking at the bottom of the relatively shallow north end of the lake where the swans feed. Mute swans have longer necks than trumpeter and tundra swans, he said. They also tend to remain year-round, unlike other migrating birds. Because their necks are longer, they feed deeper than everyone else, he said. Lead is a dense element. It settles deeper. These are resident swans. They are here the longest and feed deeper than everyone else. Those 2 factors are key. He's concerned because majestic trumpeter swans, which were once endangered but have made a comeback in recent years, could also be at risk. Medeka compared the mute swans' deaths to an old mining practice. Coal miners used to bring a canary into their mines. If the canary stopped singing, they knew to get out because of toxins in the air. If these birds are dying, there's people living right next to George Lake, Medeka said. Obviously, they're water birds, and there's something in the water. IDEM installed a lead ambient air monitor adjacent to Whiting Metals and began sampling in August. Records show the air permit violations were discovered during a 3-month period through October. IDEM approved Whiting Metals' air permit in December 2017 without holding a public hearing, despite requests from the Hammond City Council and residents.